the filter on top, that's the coarser grained filter, and then underneath it is the activated carbon filter with the finer particulates. All right, welcome back to the BWID Talk podcast. We are your hosts, Jan and Wes, and today, because it is pollen season, all over the country here in the United States where we are, we wanted to talk to you about better air quality in your ID4. And the spoiler alert, the way to do that is adding a second air filter.
And this is a feature of the car, right? You don't have to modify anything. That's the best part.
Exactly. No modification necessary. This is my car. I took pictures of. You can see me lifting up the airbox, and there are two filters. You notice they came from China, and the reason they both have the same part number is they're part of a kit. So actually, the ID Cross and several other IDs in China use this kit. Which here's
and
a picture.
Voila. This is the kit, right? And so when you open the kit, this is how it looks when you open the kit on the inside. So you have both filters as a part of this kit.
Exactly. The one on the left there is the bulkier filter, and the one on the right is, you can see the dark is the activated carbon, and they are the same size. They just look different in the picture because of the optical illusion. So why would you add a second air filter? We're already alluded to pollen. We have the slot built into the car, the second filter. I didn't know this till we had Wildfire a few years ago, and I was on the VWID Talk forums looking for a solution, and someone brought this up. I had no idea, and opened up the airbox, and sure enough, it was there. So with global warming, climate change, we're having more forest fires, more frequent, and localized allergens. There's also just regular air quality issues, smog and things like that. And it's important to manage the air quality inside your vehicle. Regular filters don't go down to a small enough size to filter out wildfire smoke. And also odors, if you care about that sort of thing. And so, my wife appreciates that I use the activated carbon filter. So wildfire smoke requires a high efficiency carbon or HEPA style filtration to capture these particles effectively. So Jan, did you want to talk about
the particulate matter. Yeah. So the particles have different sizes. So just for comparison, the human hair is PM60. So it's roughly 60 microns. And then when you think about pollen and mold, it's 30 PM30. And then as you go into the wildfire, then it's wildfire smoke, it's 2.5. So it requires much more dense filters to filter this out. And as you see, the fine road dust is PM10. And so the idea with stacking the filters, it's great that you can filter the bigger particles and then the smaller particles. But this is another feature that your car has, which is so-called air care. It's like the last tab on your air conditioning, and the car will automatically turn on the recirculation, because if you are recirculating the air, it pushes the air through the filter. So you're kind of like washing the air through the filter. Now, the air care is automatic, meaning it checks also the internal air for carbon dioxide. And if needed, it will automatically open the vent to bring in some fresh air, so you don't fall asleep.
I didn't realize that. So the air care setting will either do full recirculation, or it will bring in fresh air as needed based on the sensor.
Exactly. Now, there's still the question. The big question is, if the cars in the US without heat pump have the CO2, the carbon dioxide sensor, because this sensor usually comes with cars that have heat pump, because the refrigerant for heat pump is CO2, is carbon dioxide. So let us know down in comments if you know if cars without heat pump come with this sensor. For example, for my 2021, I don't see it on the scan, so I think that the air care is not as smart as it can be with heat pump.
Yeah. And so you could also just put it on recirculation manually. But one of the points that I didn't know till we started doing the research for this is that the car, even on recirculation of internal air, is forcing air through the filters in your air filter box. So you're still getting filtered air. It's cleaning out, if you had if you've had smoke in your car already, or something inside that you didn't want there, recirculation mode will still get that out for you.
Yep. 100%. And then how it looks and how do you do this change? So it's fairly simple, as you was mentioned, right?
Yeah, so here's the picture of my car with the bonnet opened, the hood opened, and that is a flap to just prevent debris from getting down in there. I lift it up. You can see at the top there's two little slits that go onto some hooks on the bottom of the cover.
Yeah, so they go to these hooks. So you
Yep,
need to unhook these slits from the hook
and lift it up. And
and lift
then
it up. Yeah.
on my car, I've got two little clamps on the bottom.
Oh,
Right,
interesting.
that you can't
Okay.
right there where those hook things are. And Jan's is slightly different. Jan has a 2021. I have a 2023. And that yeah, his unclips from the side there.
Yeah. So I need to squeeze this. So
Right.
if you have 21, 22, you got to squeeze this and pull it.
And mine is essentially the same thing, except you squeeze it from the bottom and then slide it down and then out.
Oh, I see.
But it's not hard to, I mean, you'll figure it out. So it comes off, and then of course we get back to the shot that we showed you earlier of the two filters in
Two
there.
filters. Yeah.
And so what we've done, mine came as a kit, like we showed you, this Mann filter
Mhm.
kit. Everybody knows Mann
Mhm.
filter, and that's why it has the same part number. And so what I've got is the filter on top that's the coarser grained filter to capture larger debris and things like that and pollen. Okay. And then underneath it is the activated carbon filter with the finer particulate. So that should take care of odor and wildfire smoke and things like that. And of course, Jan is calling attention to the direction of airflow. The air is coming in through the plenum and the top, going
From
through
the
the
top.
top of this box down
This,
into the
down
blower.
and into the cabin. Yeah.
Exactly.
And what is really interesting, and I'm sure many know this, but some people may not know, is that because our EV is to make an EV silent, VW moved the airbox from the cabin to the frunk space or engine bay compartment, right? And so to get to the filters, it's not behind the glove box as on many cars, but
Yeah.
it is actually in your frunk or engine space.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I mean, most cars I've had have been this way, but I've had a few in the past where the air filter was in the cabin filter was in the engine compartment. So,
and I also wanted to show some options some other options that I have done. So I have two filters. This one is the KNN, and we'll put the link down below. This is a cabin filter that is washable, so you can wash this filter, and so that's my top filter. And then of course I have this OEM filter then on the bottom.
okay.
That filters the smaller particles. And what I usually do, I will write the date on the filter. So then when I open the box, I can clearly see
That's
how
one of
long
those.
did I have them.
That's one of those things that's so simple and so brilliant. You see that I've clearly not done that on mine. But when I install these new ones, I will. You can tell these are dirty and old. But thank you, Jan, for that tip. And that's great. You can. When did I last change this? Oh, I'll just look at what I wrote.
Exactly.
So important thing. Jan reminded me of this actually, that the car is expecting the blower motor to draw a certain amount of current, and when you do
based on the airflow,
exactly, when you do add an additional filter, it's going to put a little more strain on the blower motor. It's not much, but the car is very sensitive. So you want to go into the coding on module 8 for the air conditioner module, and you change the adaptation for additional filter from not installed to installed, and then the car knows to expect that additional current draw. Realistically, it's not enough to affect your range, but it is enough current draw to tell the computer that there might be something wrong if you don't tell it you got an additional filter. So, excuse me. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it. The summary is, hey, if you pollen season, wildfire season, we've got a spot for a second filter built into the car, no modification necessary. So for better filtration of the fine road particles or wildfire smoke, you can add a HEPA and a carbon filter combination. Jan's done something great with that reusable filter that catches the bigger particles and the bigger, leaves and things in the top. And we both put our carbon filter in the bottom. And as you can see, super easy to install. So
super easy to install. Let us know what type of filter combo are you running and how well it helps you filter the cabin, and especially for the upcoming fire season. So thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next time. Bye.